Welcome everyone to another episode of The Royal Corner. Thank you so much for making the time to join us today. I'm incredibly excited to be sitting with my guest today. She's oozing a lot of energy, a lot of authenticity. And for us today, it's a lot about us having a catch up, to just catch up in terms of where she's been, what she's been up to, and really to connect. A very incredible soul. Thuli Thabethe, welcome to my podcast. Welcome for honoring the invite. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Spirit fingers, do you want clicks? How does it work? Thank you for having me. Before we start, I'm an actress. I always need to know which camera I'm on. So this is me.
Yes, that's you.
And the middle is for all of us.
For both of us,
Okay,
and then
cool.
that's mine.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
I love that. I actually love that you even gave us an opening in terms of just saying you're an actress, because we're here to talk about your journey.
Yes.
Your acting journey. And I think there's a lot that people don't really know about you, the fact that you're a creative strategist as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm quite excited to delve a little bit deeper into who Thuli is, you know, outside of who we also see on the screens. But I want to understand the journey and where it all began. So I think to kickstart, I'd like to say welcome and really relax. It's a conversation as far as to catch up. And, you know, when we were talking and I was extending this invite to you, I felt so blessed. I was like, God, me answering the call of me actually starting this podcast, this is what it's coming to.
Sure.
And yeah, I'm just so excited. So excited.
Well, I'd also like to exchange pleasantries. It's amazing to watch you grow. For those who don't know, I bumped into Dumelo on Instagram. Okay, are we allowed to even mention? On social media.
It.
And you were working corporate, you were a mom, still a mom, trying to figure this thing out. And then you had this thriving parenting blog. And I was just so blown away at your enthusiasm, at your professionalism, and at your boldness. You know what I mean? Because it was like, and your ability to write. Because a lot of people don't know writing it and speaking it and reading it. It's not the same. No, for real.
Yeah.
So that is a skill, because people think if I speak it well, I can write it well. Or if I can write it well, I can read it well.
Yeah.
It's just different. And I was just taken aback by that tenacity, that audacity, you know, to just say, this is what I'm doing. And this is my dream. And this is my vision. And I was like, I want you on board. And I was like, I want to be on board because of the way you approached it. So here we are today at the Royal Corner podcast. And I want to say congratulations, because it takes a big thing to take something from here and then let it manifest in here. And then you roll and you roll and you toil with it and then you wrestle with it. And then finally it's like, okay, here we are.
Let's do it.
You know what I mean? And now you're doing it. And it's giving us permission to also go, wait, see, Amy, maybe. You know what I'm trying to say?
Execute on that dream
watching
that I
you do your thing, babe. You know. Yeah.
Actually, that means a lot to me. I mean, I love that you've touched on our journey from where we met. When I reached out to you, me being brave enough, when I was still doing Thriving Parenting very actively, and you embraced me. And I always believe in those connections where it's authentic. It's so authentic. And there's this air that you have about you. You don't see yourself as above anyone. And so you received me so well. And that means so much to me. And to have you today on the Royal Corner podcast is such a big milestone for me.
It is a privilege. And it's my first podcast. So this is nice. This is really, really nice.
How come this is your first podcast?
I'm big on having conversations. Like I'll do an IG live, you know, with depending on what the conversation is about. But I don't know if this is the time to speak about it, but I'm also learning not to say my anxiety, because I apparently own it. But like, you know, when I do battle with depression and when I do battle with anxiety, you often just want to feel safe. So I haven't really been, first of all, approached, and I haven't really felt safe enough to be able to be open and vulnerable. So it really does depend on who.
Sure.
You know, so I do believe most people, when they do go to places or take up spaces like this, it's not really about the brand, it's the who. Even with services, do you follow the therapist or do you follow the brand? I often follow the therapist, so it's not about whatever the nail company is or whatever the spa is.
Yeah.
Because it could be, the brand could be out there, but the person you really connect with is the therapist.
Yeah.
So are we following the podcast, or is it subscribing to Dumelo?
Sure.
And what you stand for.
Sure. I feel so honored, like, for you to decide to say this is a safe space, and I'm gonna actually accept the invite to go and sit with Dumelo because I'm subscribing to who she is, and I feel safe enough in her space.
Yes.
Man, that's so incredible, and it's so affirming. And you speak about brand. You've actually just touched about brand. I saw
Yes.
something you posted the other day about where somebody has asked you, like,
What is your brand?
What is your brand?
You know, yeah.
And your response was that you are a purpose-driven person. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I studied at Vega and I did my diploma in integrated brand communications. So this is a bit of my story.
Yeah.
Because that's the way I'd rather have conversations. I can't do the, where did you start? And how
Where
did
do you see yourself in 5 years?
Let's have a conversation,
Yeah.
child, and your editor will also ihlanganisa because it's about the flow.
Yeah.
So obviously you learned that a brand is it's a set of tools. It's about the identity. It's about the image. And I often teach my students because I also teach on Saturdays. I've had to. Like, what do you think I'm doing when I'm not in front of the camera? We have to diversify. You know,
you have many talents.
I've had to.
Yeah.
To survive in this industry.
Yeah.
So you often get asked, you know, what is the difference between an actor and a celebrity? What is the difference between a character and the actor? What is the difference between a brand and a celebrity, especially in the space where all of us are now influencing? I mean, girl, you know, we're all here. Welcome to my life, guys. You know what I mean? And branding limits you because it has to be committed and consistent. Yeah. You know, am I allowed to mention brand names?
Go for it.
So Coca-Cola doesn't promise to give you a hug and massage you. Mm-hmm. It promises to, you know, refresh you.
Yeah.
And it can't cross disciplines. You know what I mean? Whereas being purpose-driven means I don't have to stay in my lane because I can go in between acting and serve in my purpose. I can also go into being a voice artist. I can also go into the teaching and healing space because I'm able to have a purpose. Whereas if you're just a brand, then that's all you limit yourself to. That all you do is act and sing. And then you limit yourself. But what can your acting and singing do for you? What service can it offer? You see, as opposed to defining yourself by what you do. Rather start defining yourself by who you are.
Sure.
You know.
And that creates a box for yourself, right?
Absolutely.
When you're saying,
what happens when I'm not being casted anymore, meaning I'm an actor, I'm rigid.
Yeah. And then you find it also difficult to face the world to say, well, we don't see her on TV. What's...
Exactly. Or even roll with the punches. Because if you define yourself so much by what you do, when that is taken away from you, you won't be able to do other things. You won't be able to diversify. You won't be able to even recognize, well, this is time for me to pivot now. Because
you're stuck in
10 years, I ain't going nowhere. Still in the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be flexible. You know what I mean? Not rigid.
Yeah. And you also said that you are your mantra.
I am what the moment requires me to be. Absolutely. I live by that. Obviously, being an actress has taught me to wear many masks or wear many hats and play different roles. But in my healing journey, I've learned the only way to actually achieve what it is that I want is to be present. And therefore, you also have to allow yourself whatever that moment requires you to be. So if I'm in my podcast era.
Yes, queen.
And I am what the moment requires me to be. When I leave here, I'm going to be someone's mom, someone's sister, someone's partner, and I'm going to have to wear that mask, whatever that moment requires me to be. In fact, all of us are.
Sure.
You know.
But it's beautiful that you actually have such a firm understanding of in life. I mean, I think life is very fluid. We need to be able to roll with life, flow with life, really.
Yes. And that isn't always the case.
Yeah, we get stuck in our ways.
Or we resist it.
Yes. Because it's difficult to let go sometimes, especially if you've identified yourself as a particular thing. Then when it's time to really tap into, because we're gifted, right? We've got different gifts and talents. And it's not that God will give you just one. And sometimes you've got one at the top of the chain and one a little bit further down. But in a certain season of your life, you need to tap into a certain one, a specific one. So I really love that. I am what the moment requires and being aware of that awareness.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. It's also, I think it's like a line I took from a Shakespeare. It was very like, I am what the moment requires. And I was like, this sounds really profound.
Yeah.
And that's what being an actress will do, because you're exposed to different texts, to different worlds, depending on what it is that you're studying or reading or preparing for. So, life is art and art does become life. Sure. In my world. Yeah. Or else what are we doing? If I'm not embracing it all.
Absolutely. The color in between as well. And now your acting career, where did it all begin? Did you always want to become an actress growing up?
Well, according to my mom, I've always been on stage. So I've always loved attention. If I'm in a room and you know how our parents would have like these get-togethers and then the kids end up being friends because the parents are friends.
Yeah.
And then, after dinner or after a braai and now it's drinks times and then the parents are having their moment, we would always find a way to just like, we want to sing, we want to perform, let's do this for you. And I never wanted to get off stage. Like once eyes were on me, I was just like, all eyes are on me. And I didn't want to get off stage. And my mom at some point was like, I don't know when Noktula is on or off stage. My full name is Noktula, by the way.
Oh, yes, that's a big thing to note. Yeah.
So she was able to identify that this one's not going to go to a traditional high school. She's going to the National School of Arts. And I thank God that my mom sent me to art school. And that's when I kind of like threw myself into everything that the art school, the drama department was able to offer me. And I ran with it.
Gee whiz.
So this is like from 14 years old, from high school right up to matric. And then I started working professionally at the age of 19. My first role was a featured extra. I'll explain what a featured extra is on Isidingo. So a featured extra is basically the character that brings in the camera to focus on the lead. So let's say you are the steering. Now I'll come from this angle with my file, with the camera to bring in the lead.
Oh, really?
That's a featured extra.
So you're behind the scenes.
I was
in
a featured
essence.
extra.
Wow.
My first job at 19. And then I kept working and going to auditions and getting these bit parts. And then one day, my agent Shane at the time from X Factor, this was like 2004. It's like, hi, the lead of this the character who plays this, the actor is in London, and will you be able to do these? These are big shoes to fill because it's established and it's an amazing character. And that was Phumzile, played by Lucy Luchai, the late Lucy Luchai.
Yeah.
I went for it. I left there thinking, I don't think I did justice because I mean, then and still now, I still think I could never, ever play Uphumzile like Ubusi Luchai. But I got the role and that was my first big break.
And how old were you at
I
this
was
point?
20.
Gee whiz, wow.
21.
Yeah.
20 turning 21.
Sure. So really it's a calling for you.
20 years, honey, in the game.
Gosh. Yo. You know, my son sometimes he says to me, of course he's at an age, so he's turning 14.
Yes.
He's at an age where we have those conversations. Boy, so what do you want to do when you grow up? And I think parents typically would have those chats earlier on. But he keeps saying, no, I want to be an actor or I want to be a football player. And I'm like, okay, very interesting. And I think just listening to you in terms of how your mom was so supportive of your journey and enrolling you in a school because she was able to pick up earlier on is really inspirational for me as a mom as well to say maybe there's something there. Maybe, we tap into it. I've seen him perform at school, drama plays, and he's actually quite good. But having this interaction with a professional actress, it's incredible to hear about the journey and even the auditions. Now, tell me about those moments where as you've gone for auditions and you didn't get the role, what does it feel like? Do you feel like, you get this incredible role and you do well, then you go to the next audition and maybe you don't get the role?
Sure, I'm so glad you asked me that, Dumi, because I'm actually going through that. So I'm happy to share my journey and I'm happy to be vulnerable and authentic. In my 20s, I would literally book roles, literally. And some, like, I don't know, maybe it's an instinct in the sense that you get the brief.
Yeah.
You look at the brief and you're like, this is something I can do. And you leave with the intention to get the job. And so I don't know whether it was because at 20 I was just young and just showing up and I had no expectations. You're just saying, oh, okay, I can do this, right? And then you book jobs. And then I think my whole 20s I was booked and busy. And then 30s you kind of like, oh, okay, I'm no longer playing the lead role now because the roles are mostly youthful. And now I'm playing the mom. I'm no longer the pretty young thing. I'm either someone's crazy wife or someone's mom.
Yeah.
And so that was my career. Now that I'm like about to turn 40, I'm not booking as like I used to. I'm not as booked and busy like I used to. And the rejection is never, you don't ever get used to it. So the same way in my 20s, there was a big role I really wanted or to be on part of a big show and I didn't get it. I'd always ask myself, like, what is wrong with me? Am I not enough? What is it that I need to do? And with time, I've learned that I just hadn't lived yet.
Yeah.
I hadn't had enough life experience to play that role.
Yeah.
And then it teaches you about the entitlement, because when you have a streak of being booked and busy, it's like, how, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, like with the Hollywood actors, when they've had a streak of number ones and then it's no longer a blockbuster, it's like, what's going on? But you need that.
Yeah.
You need that to humble you. You need that to ground you. You need that to also make you stay hungry. Imagine if I walked in every audition and I got it. I wouldn't have the impetus to read.
Yeah.
The impetus to even hone my craft. Because I just woke up like this.
I got this. I was born with this. Oof. So it's a very humbling experience.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Even now, the fact that I still need to audition, I understand it on a principal level because I teach it and I coach it. But still, I'm still a human. I'm just like, do you not know my work? Do you not who I am?
Yes. Just go
You know
online.
what I mean?
You'll be able to find
and
so
you
much.
I still have to audition, and that's the humility of it all.
Whoa.
Even the best of us happens to the best of us.
Yeah. Sure. I want to tap in a little bit into then the other things that you do. So including, the work that you do as a creative strategist. But before we even get there, in terms of your role as an actress, obviously COVID came through and things changed a little bit. And I guess that's where we started hearing the big word about being able to pivot. I mean, it didn't get as much of a spotlight as it did during COVID. So what did that look like from an acting perspective in that time? Because there's restrictions, there's not much that can happen. How was that?
Yeah, you're really, really you're really,
I'm digging.
which is beautiful, because like if we're not having these conversations, what are we doing? So the beginning of 2020 happened to be the end of our journey with Ubutmenzi. So 2020 was like, in drama we call it the swan song. Basically, you do your last lap as an actor. And the story between Judas and Beauty, we were like this ride or die couple, and we were basically leaving the show. So you started the year 2020 with a sense of uncertainty in January, knowing that, okay, this is the end. This is the end of our journey. This is the end of our run. And I told myself, okay, I'm going to rest in the month of February, and then March I'm going to start, putting it out there that I'm out there. And then on the 27th, boom, it was announced we're locked down 100 days. I'm like, what in the jack in the box is this?
Sure.
I'm like, oh, okay. I'm having conversations with God, like, what now?
What must happen?
What must happen? I've been on the show for 4 years. I've got a consistent income for 4 years. We're at the end of our road. I'm grateful for that. And I just thought it would be like a month rest and then boom, get back into it. So that didn't happen. And that also, I found myself very anxious about making ends meet, anxious about what's the next thing and what's going to happen to me, my child, and keeping, not really, would I say keeping? More like just making sure that I'm able to keep up with my monthly obligations. That was the one thing I was really worried about.
Whew.
And then I found myself teaching and reading online for kids. So we started a digital school called the Digital STEM Lockdown.
Okay.
And it was basically something brought to you by the Department of Education. And they're like, 21 days, let's keep the kids entertained. Let's keep them informed. And it doesn't lock down. I remember one of our slogans was, lockdown does not mean our minds have to shut down, because you were with your children 24 hours. I was not used to that.
Yeah.
I was not used to the fridge opening every 2 minutes.
Oh, mom,
in the toilet opening, closing, flushing, and all of that. I just knew between 8 and 5, busy in soccer, now you're with me, on top of me, with me all over. It was just like, girl.
Yeah.
And we had to find a way. So I found myself teaching online.
Hectic. I haven't actually seen any of that. Was it out in public, any of the work that you did back then?
Not really, but you could join and jump in online.
Yeah.
Are we on?
Yes, we are.
Oh, hello, fabulous moms.
And my young, beautiful minds.
If your child hasn't started getting on your nerves like my one is,
Or the other way around.
then this message is for you. Africa Teen Geeks, in partnership with the Department of Basic Education and the Sasol Foundation, presents
The Free STEM Lockdown Digital School.
That's right. And basically, we introduce the concept and speak to the moms, because the moms were the ones that we needed to talk to, because they were the ones having to make lunch, make supper, and then do the homework. I don't know if you remember, there were many things we were required to do. And I was like, these teachers have us on a chokehold. And then Kamo, it's work commitments. And then I need to finish this exercise and submit. And now I'm the geography, maths, and English teacher. It was overwhelming.
You're the cook. You're doing everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. I don't know how we survived that. It was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually, from that period, had so much respect for teachers because I was like, the level of patience that you have to teach children something else. Sure.
And they're not and they don't know how to receive it. I remember like Rudy was always like, why are you talking to me like this? I'm like, right now, I am what the moment requires me to be. Like, I'm a teacher, and they're like, you need to do your work, and you need to be firm, and they just don't understand, like, why are you
switching roles?
It's not that deep. Like, hey,
let it go, ma.
Yeah, you know. And I don't know if you remember, they had to be up at a certain time.
Yeah.
And then they have to join teams. How not even bothered.
No teeth brushed. Ready to hop on.
No, and then I think that's when we had to also learn the etiquette. Just because you're at home, it doesn't mean you can come up with your gown and your also dugu. Remember, there were just so many things that you had to be cognizant of. Just because you're not in the workspace, you were still working.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Sure. You know what, COVID, I always like asking that question to see how people manage to navigate that time. And it's interesting then to hear in your industry what that was like and some of the things that you then had to tap into. But I know you're a creative through and through.
I am.
So I think you can survive with whatever life has thrown. I mean, we all go through different seasons of our lives. And I always think when you're aware of self and the fact that you're a creative, you're able to come up with something like, listen, I'm not identifying with just being an actress. I want to tap a bit into that in terms of what you do. So I think a lot of us know you. We see you on our screens. We've seen the incredible work that you do. I mean, you are one of the top artists in our country, top actresses in our country. Whenever I see your work, I'm like, yeah, I can see Thuli. Thuli has passed through here. It's so refreshing to see. And to see you, just a little bit of insight that I've gotten into some of your creative pursuits. I was like, what a gifted human being.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I guess share that part of the journey in terms of, what you're currently doing. When I was reading your profile, I was like, yo, this woman is doing so much that people may not necessarily be aware of. They just see Thuli on the screen and that's Thuli. But there's actually a lot that you're doing. The brand work that you do, helping them with their strategies and all other things that you're doing. So I just want to understand a bit about that.
Okay, so fast forward.
What about backtracker or you're going forward?
I can like Jenny. So, I'm 24 and I'm pregnant with my son. And at the time, I had just won a SAFTA. I had just been engaged. Like, with the that's it,
good.
Girl. And then, boom, to pregnant. Then you start to realize there are no roles for young, pretty, pregnant women. So in that 9 months, I didn't have any work because no one was going to hire. And it was around that time where Manaka, am I saying it right? Ranaka was still on Isitingo. And there was a whole thing about her being let go because she was pregnant and she fought it. So it was very touch and go to be pregnant and all of that. So I knew, okay, fine. 9 months, I need to enroll. So I did a short learning program through Varsity College where I studied marketing management. And it was through this marketing management course where I was like, I think I want to get into branding. I want to understand the psychology behind why people consume and why they buy and what sustains luxury and why. So I studied branding at not Varsity College, just down the road here at Vega.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, I think I'm stubborn to me. I'm an Aries, ne?
Yeah.
And the reason
ruler of self.
Yeah, ruler of self. And the reason why I went back to school was other than the fact that my mom is an academic, so education is very important. I didn't want to be referred to as so-and-so's baby mama. I was like, yeah, company Thuli the actress or Thuli the what, what you're not gonna do is just call me so-and-so's
baby mama.
Baby girl at 27 years old with a 3-year-old. Mind you, I'm a SAFTA award-winning actress. Everybody knows my business. I had a public breakup. I'm in class with 19, 20-year-olds that know who I am already.
Yeah.
And ke ngwana sekolo ne. Ne ke tsoha ke siye ngwana ko sekolong, ke sekolong. Ha ke tswa sekolong, ke late ngwana sekolong. Then I must do mommy this, mommy that. And then I was 6, 7, 8. Ururi is not trying to sleep at that time. On the night I'm supposed to have an assignment is the day he's the most clingiest. I'm just
Children.
painting a picture.
Yeah.
You know? And then 9 o'clock, I put him to bed because he's supposed to be in bed already. And this is something I remember I want to share with you. And then around 10, 11, you know, I'll start opening Ncwadi Yesikolo and try to push 2-3 hours. And then at 6, 6:30, I'm at it again. I'm getting umntwana to get ready to school. Ngishiya umntwana esikolweni, ngiye esikolweni. So Ururi has been through all my journeys. He's been through mom being a first-year student. He knows mom doing brand challenges. He knows mom going to voiceovers. He knows mom sitting through the queue, number 100 and what, going to an audition and going to a callback. He's played around sets. I get because it's 12 hours. So all I asked for was, as long as I get to do this, can I just fetch my child from school? And then we can work. All the production managers know Ruri. They've bought him lunch. They've done all sorts of things for him.
Yeah.
What I'm basically saying is I've grown up with my kid and he's watched me evolve.
Man.
So that's why I went back to school, to answer your question. Inkani, ruler of self.
Sure. A beautiful Nkani that you have. I love it. Because we must be Nkani about the things that actually we're passionate about and who we want to be. We have to be very intentional. So then Nkani is necessary.
Yes.
I always laugh whenever I see ruler of self. I'm like, I want to understand a bit more about this ruler of self.
I'm happy to share.
Yeah. If I had to directly translate it,
Yeah.
I rule myself.
Yeah. And I'll admit, there's two sides to the story. So the first one is I admit that the name was born out of a rebellion. You know, ruler of self. I can do it myself. I'm good enough all by myself. I can do all bad by myself, right? And then that didn't work for me because I also saw the backlash that comes with being that stubborn. And then I had to kind of turn it on its head in the sense that you take a negative and turn it into a positive. So it's more like in a world that's telling me how to be, how to think, how to feel. In a world I'm constantly inundated with messaging that tells me I'm not enough. This is what you need. This is who you need to be. I was like, what? With this depression and anxiety, honey, I'm going to need to be I'm going to need to live up to a name that is bigger than myself, bigger than these thoughts, bigger than these feelings. So I had to learn to rule self.
Oh, wow.
In thought, in mind, in feeling, in approach.
Sure.
So I became the ruler of all things self-love, self-image, self-respect, self-regulation, the whole work. And it's not sexy, by the way. It sounds easy, but doing the work is not easy.
It's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But it all starts with self.
Sure. You know what? I appreciate the vulnerability with which you're handling that conversation. You know, you speak about the anxiety and the depression, and for you having had to decide that, listen, I'm not going to be consumed by this. It is what I'm experiencing, but I'm not going to allow it to overcome me or rule me. I'm going to be ruling it.
Thank you.
And acknowledging that actually it's not an easy journey.
No, not in our industry especially.
Sure.
Remember, this was before the lockdown where the conversation wasn't as loud. Remember, no one was talking about this. It was almost like the lockdown, you know, was like an instigator, was the catalyst to having the greater conversation. It's like, are you okay? You know? Because we were forced to meet parts of ourselves that we were not ready to, because you wake up every day, you're fighting through traffic, you're fighting at work, you're fighting on traffic to come home. There's no time to check in. You're just on a hamster wheel, just going. So now there was time.
To go deep.
Hey.
You were forced to actually to go internally.
Absolutely.
I mean, there was no, in society, I mean, there's a lot of numbing that takes place. There's substances that we can use to numb. There's different addictions, whether it's going to be to social media, to other types of vices that people use. But I think that time really, because we were limited, so then you don't have the alcohol as an example.
Do you remember that Thursday? If you did not get your stuff on a Thursday, at a particular
You're making
time,
a plan.
girl,
Yeah.
you got issues.
Yeah, I remember, Boda. And others were like, they made sure to stock up before, and then we were phoning, Tommy, can you just please?
Or just selling it at a premium. You know, in day 20 Rand, you're buying it at 200 Rand. That showed us how much we needed to self-numb or escape.
100%. You know what? Earlier in the conversation, you also spoke about healing. In fact, I think you mentioned it twice. I was listening very intently.
Shout out to you, great listener.
Important.
That's a proper presenter. Always we You're in control of the room, darling. I love it.
Thank you. So when you spoke about healing and this entire journey that you're sharing with us, how has that looked like for you? I mean, it's different for all of us because you've been referring a lot to healing. I think I heard you even mention it twice. And I think it's important to do healing work and it looks different for everyone, right? So you shared about the anxiety and the depression. And look, we go through different things outside of even just that. When I look at your social media, I always feel so refreshed. I'm very intentional about who it is that I follow. I don't follow for the sake of following. It's important to me what I expose myself to. So whenever I see what you put out there, I'm always feeling energized and so refreshing. And I can see, I was saying to you earlier that your skin, girl, you're glowing.
Thank you.
The glow. So I think it's reflecting the inner work and whatever healing looks like to you. So I just want to just get a bit of a perspective what healing looks like to you.
Sure, thank you for that question because I do get that a lot, and it's not even a thing to clarify. I just feel like with the space that we're currently in, I don't know if it's just you or is it just me, but like the minute you mention healing, there's an expectation for you to be in some spiritual journey or suyo twasa or something to that effect. And for me, healing it looks like you said, it looks different for different people. So in my journey, I realized a lot of the things that I was doing were management.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially in the beginning, I was getting my Sophia Loren on. Sophia Loren is actually basically an archetype where it's a woman who made the whole towel and white gown and the hotel famous. Like you see it, all of the influencers now do it now.
Yeah.
That was the Sophia Loren moment where she was in her white towel and her white gown having strawberries and having champagne. That's an aesthetic.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Going to the spa and all of those things. Those are all management systems. They don't really eradicate the depression and the anxiety, whatever it is that you're battling with. So I started with that, and that's how I think you met me. I started doing an event called Bubbles and BFFs where I basically brought women to the spa. I partnered with a champagne or an MCC brand, and basically it's all about having a kumbaya with yourself and checking in and doing it in the most beautiful and the most luxurious setting. But that was just that, aesthetic. The women were still struggling with themselves. The women were still having issues because we were just taking care of the outside and not really going in. Then I started to learn that, doing the inner work is ugly. It is messy. It is insane. And it's got nothing to do with the aesthetic. So for me, I learned journaling, hiking, going to the spa, and even doing things like detoxing are good things they do. There are ways to show yourself love, but they're all management systems.
Yeah.
They don't eradicate. The only way to eradicate is to go and doing the healing work, and which is it sounds easy, but it's not. It sounds simple, but it's not. And it's basically learning to sit with it.
Sure.
Sitting with it. I'm uncomfortable. I hate it. My stomach is doing something now. I think diarrhea. What's going on? Or I can't sleep. All those things, you need to sit with it and ask yourself, what is going on with me? And I learned that the quality of my life has everything to do with the quality of the questions I ask. Why am I the way that I am? Why do I do the things that I do? Why do I react to things the way that I do? So the quality of my whys and the questions is in direct proportion to the quality of the life that I want to live. And not a lot of us are willing to ask, Mara why nje?
Yeah. It's difficult.
I am like this. You take it or leave it.
Yeah, take me as I am.
You found me this way, girl. Then you're going to stay that way.
Yeah.
And then
hold yourself back.
And everything stays that way.
Yes.
Because you're the measure of all things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we have different relationships out there. You said you're a mom, you're a sister, you're a daughter. So if you're going to be stuck on this is the way I am, and then how are you going to coexist with these people around you? Yeah. Listen, I know all about that healing work. I love that you said journaling because I think it's such a powerful way to answer some of those questions. So I keep all my journals.
Good.
I probably have, if I had to publish a book, I know you've always said, you're a writing girl. I'm not that writer girl in my journals. It's where I get to really be raw and authentic with myself. I'm sure there are spelling errors in some parts, but I keep all of them. And every now and again, I go back to the journals and I'm like, okay, I got 2016. This was the conversation. And then I realized, oh man, we're in 2025 and there's still stuff that I'm struggling with that I have put down back then So I need to revisit this because this keeps appearing over and over again.
So I'm gonna flip this interview and ask you, obviously without giving too much away, how much has Dumelo evolved? Because I think I've witnessed a lot of versions of you, even if we
Yeah.
don't see each other every day. But
Yeah.
just based on your posts and your hairstyle, I'm able to know ula, sisla manj. You know what I mean?
Then there's the pink hair.
Uh-huh.
She's going through it. Ne?
Whatever. But I'm just saying, you're able to just tell because you do have a community.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Look, I really think I'm ever evolving. I'm someone who's very passionate also about self-growth. You were saying earlier that the educational piece is something that's quite important to you because also you didn't want your identity to be connected to a particular human being. You are Thuli, and as Thuli, you do these things to grow yourself. So I'm very much similar. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to tap into different parts of myself. I mean, you remember we met through Thriving Parenting,
Yes.
which was at the time, I guess, a blog of sorts.
Absolutely. And you were ahead of your time. I have to say this. It was before the mommy blogger thing was even a thing. And Dumelo, you were already like, we're going to do this and this is how we're going to get our branding and whatnot,
Yeah.
while trying to handle a 9 to 5 and a son and whatever was happening at the time.
Yeah.
And I guess we were attracted to each other because I can safely say it was a trauma bond.
Ooh.
Because we attract people to the same level of our wound.
Sure, that's deep.
Yeah, it's okay
not going to
to
digest
own
that.
it, though. It's okay to own it.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I still remember. Do you remember when we had our conversation at McDonald's?
At McDonald's, I remember having our brainstorming at a place called State 5.
Was it State 5? It wasn't McDonald's?
It was State 5 on
remember.
Witkoppen, like in Dawenje, ngathi khonchi khonchi nje.
How you come from
And
far?
she was so professional. I feel like a laptop or a web document. There I am, just like we're gonna have a chat,
Showing up.
You know?
Yeah. Look, I think I'm someone who I believe everything is ours for the taking. So whatever our dreams are, it just requires a step. So I'm ever evolving. I think from those earlier interactions between us, I mean, sometimes I start this creative. So I do think even though I am in banking, I do tend to tap a lot into my creative side, which I think we all do have.
Yes.
I think we all do have. So at different points in time, I get inspiration. I'm like, okay, I think this is what it is. I'm going to start this. So since we last interacted, I mean, I've been growing this podcast or trying to. In fact, I've just come back because I used to do it as live Instagram interviews.
Yes.
And I was like, I need to have this podcast. And sometimes people would come and be that voice, that little whisper to say, these Instagram live interviews, why aren't you turning it into a podcast? I was like, guys, I'm still studying. I was doing my master's at the time.
Look at you, masters at the time, girl.
And I was like, it's going to require a lot. But I think the one thing that I can say is I held myself accountable. That this is something that's been there. It's been a burning desire. So I'm going to go back and do it.
I like that.
Yeah.
And where'd you get the tenacity? If I can just get your where you get with your well from. Yeah, I love your, like outside, like you said, you're fearless, which is beautiful because that's what you need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or you don't overthink things. You're just like, okay, I'm running with it.
Yeah.
My biggest issue is I overthink. And perfectionism. We're praying on it. We're praying on it.
Yeah.
Procrastination. We're praying on
Yeah.
it. We're praying on it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I'll pray with you
Thank
and for you.
you.
I think it's really just pushing yourself and the courage. It's not that I'm unafraid as I do whatever it is that I do, but I say to myself, I don't want to sit one day and live in regret to say I could have done A, B, and C, but I held myself back because either I felt like I don't have enough resources or whatever limitation. So I just go and I'm like, I think it's more about not being afraid to fail. You learn through failing. So that's what gives me that tenacity to say, let's go. We'll learn on the job. Let's keep flowing. And here I'm sitting with you today.
Good for you.
Hi.
And may you have many more.
I receive that.
May you have many, many more.
I receive that with the utmost open heart. Open heart. Thuli, authenticity, I think it's something that is remarkable.
Thank you.
How have you managed to keep it? I know that you say, I mean, your whole ethos around you are what the moment requires. And I don't see you as somebody, just based on what I've seen out there, you don't just go for something because either you're under pressure or I don't know. You're not like some of the things that I see out there online. You're not like some of the people, and I'm not trying to compare you, but I'm intrigued by that authenticity and you tapping into. I love that you shared your vulnerabilities on the podcast so far. But how have you managed to stay so authentic and rooted, even with some of the big things that you've done?
Wow. I'm a storyteller. Aisha ngiyipresenteni ijulile namhlanje guys ijulile. Host yenu I mean.
Yeah.
So on the 18th, which is like 3 days ago, we celebrated my aunt's 60th birthday. And I'm going to name drop because I never do. My aunt is the Princess of Africa, Miss Yvonne Chaka Chaka. And she turned 60. And
incredible.
Thank you. So she's a 60-year-old and she also celebrates 40 years in the industry. I'm turning 40 in a couple of weeks.
Wow.
So it hits you when you're like, this woman's career is as old as I am. She has been working as Yvonne Chaka Chaka. Obviously, she's had many versions and many opportunities to evolve.
Yeah.
So to answer your question is, when you've got that kind of a person in your life, how can you not? It's like a case study. It's like I was able to have an understudy or be her understudy.
Yeah.
I've also had the opportunity to not only live with my aunt and be raised by her, but I've also worked for her.
Yeah.
So around 1920, while I was still, hustling, trying to find myself as an actress, I used to work as my aunt's PA at Chaka Chaka Promotions. And sitting in that position, Unkulunkulu works beautifully. I wouldn't have been able to get a masterclass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One says, watching her life and the way she's conducted herself as a businesswoman, as an artist, as a philanthropist, you'd think you've got a masterclass, right? But being able to work for her, right, gave me permission to go into spaces that I didn't, first of all, think I'd be able to go into. Secondly, she taught me everything I know. Through working for her, I knew what an artist can achieve, what an artist can do, what an artist can demand, and what an artist cannot demand. Doing her admin, doing her invoicing, working on her different brands, and then everything I was doing for Chaka Chaka Promotions, I basically have done for the industry of Thuli Thabethe.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's when I learned, Uti, you're not in the industry. You're in the industry of who you are. Because if I had to subscribe to industry, then I would have to be and do everything that everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
I had to go and say, okay, this is who I am. I'm not as popular as the other girls. I might not have the following like the other girls, like the it girls. And I think we've got, the top 5. And I think we all know who they are. And I love them all and I respect them all. But I wasn't in that space. I often say that I'm in the industry, but I'm not of it. Because I just had to focus on my capabilities. And I think my depression and anxiety serves as a blessing and a curse, if you know what I mean. So I was blessed because I'm not umuntu othanda ukugroove or come at my party. So you're not gonna find me at the events unless it's one related to me. Like you're not gonna find me at every other event unless it's an event like the SAFTAs, because I'm an actress. It makes sense that I'm there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna be everywhere. So and it's watching my aunt do her thing and run with it that taught me that it's okay. My vibe is my vibe and my tribe will be attracted to me. Even if I wanted to be everything to everyone, I realized in my 20s that it was not going to work for me. And that's how I just learned to stay in my lane.
Wow. So that early on, hey? It's not like it's something only at this stage of your life. Because obviously the older we grow, we tend to mature. But the fact that you're saying that it was through watching her and how she was conducting her business herself, you realize that it's okay to be me and not have to subscribe or contort myself.
Yes, and mind you, she was being compared to, at the time, I mean, she started off as a bubblegum musician. So you can imagine it was Brenda Fassie, Messi Pakela, and everybody was like, I want to end that. And she was just like, I'm a lady.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And she was told she can't sing compared to certain musicians, or you don't have that je ne sais quoi like certain musicians. But look at her. She's able to have 40 years in the industry as a musician, businesswoman, and philanthropist. And she's still going, by the way.
Wow.
So it gives me permission to just keep going and realizing that when the door closes or it shuts you out, you need to pivot. And if you don't do it early, it forces you to. And that's life. If God has a way of saying, "Ish, ngikufuna la," and you're like, "I just want to hold on here, Lord, I'm not ready." It's like, oh, if you only knew.
What I have for you.
If you only knew. And then he will put you in circumstances and in situations that force you, because obviously you're not going to do what he wants you to do willingly. You know, at first we need to question it and run away, and then sometimes we even take detours, and then he's like, "I'm going to bring you right back, however long it takes."
This is where you need to be.
This is where you need to be.
Sure. And I think that's testament to how we need to be unapologetic. So our children are watching. You and I are both parents, and you speak about how Ruri has seen you in the different facets and the way, you know, in the different spaces that you show up in.
Yes.
So those learnings from your aunt, I think, really affirms what we as parents, as aunts, and uncles, we have a responsibility to show up as our truest selves, because these young ones that are coming are also taking notes, and they're looking at us and they're saying, "Can I be myself in a world that's trying to get me to be somebody else or something else? Can I really just be myself and show up as me?"
Yes.
Sure. That's incredible. Speaking of Ruri, what's he up to? How's that going? How's motherhood?
The love of my life.
Absolute love of your life. I feel like I've seen Ruri grow. That time I haven't even met Ruri.
Really?
I have never met Ruri. But I feel like I've literally watched him grow. I've enjoyed the journey so much, just seeing him go through the different phases.
First of all, let me start off by saying I have run out of baby. Do me for real. He is turning 16.
What?
In
He's 16
August.
already?
Yeah. Just to share that. Like, I have a 16-year-old boy. I don't want to talk much about what is happening just for his safety and security, but he is currently in Australia.
Okay.
With, I call Nandi my sister wife, and we can get into that. See what I just did there? I just gave you another thing to get into. Nandi is Ruri's stepmom and Tabo's wife.
Yeah.
And she's basically been so amazing to me. She is Australian born.
Okay.
And she's basically saying that I want to extend my citizenship and the benefits thereof and everything else to him, so that these boys are global. We're trying to set them up so that they can compete globally. How could I say no to that?
Oh, man. Oh, man.
And if you want to show me love, Aishem, if there was ever a time that I learned, I've always known she's loved my boy, but that was the greatest gift of all, because she didn't have to.
Oh, that gave me goosebumps.
But
literally.
she did, you know. So that's where my son is currently. I'm getting his life, is starting a journey without me. And she gets to have a front seat to that. And that it makes me feel some type of way, but I'm also grateful that he gets so much. It's love. And I'm not going to lie, in the beginning, I used to be jealous and envious. But now, until one of my friends were like, actually see it as more. You know, to you think, no one's going to take my place. I'm the mom. I'm that maternal space, you know what I mean? But don't look at it as that. That's such a limited way of thinking and seeing things. See it as he has more. I got whaley pants. He's got aunts and uncles. It takes a village. You know,
that can't have been an easy decision, though, with that acknowledgement of the fact that he's surrounded by so much love. But say, you know what, I'm gonna let my boy go. I don't think very many mothers are. I speak to a lot of moms. We speak about our journey of parenting. There are many moms who are wouldn't find it easy to let go and say, you're moving a whole continent away, and Australia is not next door.
And you're taking my child.
Oh, my everything.
My one and only.
Big ups to you, man, for saying, this woman is loving my boy wholeheartedly, and I've seen it throughout, and this is what she wants to afford him. Let me grant my boy this opportunity. I think it takes a special human to be able to do that.
Thank you. Mind you, she's been in Rui's life since Rui was 4 years old. Aww. And Rui's turning 16, so do the maths.
Sure.
It wasn't an easy decision, but you know, like you're in banking, the evidence was showing. Yes. When you look at this, everything, it was like, what am I fighting for?
Yeah.
She's been around long enough. She's watched him grow from the age of 4. You know what I mean? When he, you know, and yeah, she's just been so incredible. And I don't shout her out enough. So this is the platform. I'm hoping this will be the clip you use.
I will definitely.
They want to know, is it real? Give PR. Are they doing it for the gram? It's real.
I remember back then in our chats, I used to say, oh, Thuli, I look up to you so much, your journey of blended parenting, I guess.
Yes, you actually taught me the term. That's
Yes.
not say be blended, by the way. Dumelo.
Yeah. And we look at you because I'm in the same setup of a blended family, and I hope one day I'll be able to also bring my sister wife to the podcasts. I'll plant the seed. We'll see how it goes. But seeing you, because a lot of the time, I guess, as African people, there's this misconception, and I call it a misconception because we want to stay stuck in things that we have believed to be stereotypes. So even when we're seeing the examples, so when I looked at you guys, here's this black family, young black family, and they're doing this thing. And we'd see the love that you guys are giving each other on social media. Of course, a lot of moments are very private. But it's been so incredible to see, and it's been encouraging to me as someone who's part of that setup, and we get along very well as well.
Good.
And I think it took just seeing you guys and how you're doing it. And I was like, hey, we can do it. It doesn't need to be only a thing that's being done by white families. We too can do it. And there doesn't need to be issues. I mean, we're human beings. There'll be things here and there that you don't agree on. But fundamentally, at the core, the fact that you are working together to parent and show each other love, I think that's so amazing.
Thank you. It's not easy, but we get it done. And like human nature, we don't post the BS. You don't post the nonsense because it doesn't serve the agenda.
Yeah.
As well as it's human nature. Like, who's going to start sharing with no man? We will always share we're in our high spirits. It's really great. But it's so important, and it's got nothing to do with being apologetic or playing it down. It's the authenticity. Like, I don't wake up like this, and it's not like it's hunky-dory all the time. But one thing I appreciate about Unandi is she has just always embraced me.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And mind you, she. So, you know, a lot of people are on some, like, you know what I mean? I'm happy to own the fact that in the first few years, I was the, big words, the instigator. No? There's the, what's the word I'm looking for? Not the instigator, but there's the, I'll find it, but there's the lo hlupayo.
Yeah.
You know, like I wasn't willing.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? Just being inkani, just being stubborn.
Yeah.
And I was just not willing. I was closed off, and she never gave up.
Oh, man.
She never dropped she never dropped Ngotini. She was always consistent in terms of character, approach, the level of respect. And she was always like, Tools, and she calls me Tools.
Yeah.
I know this, and that. I don't want to get involved with you and, you know, Utabo and whatnot, but like we need to just, you know, I'm not going anywhere. And it wasn't an attitude. It wasn't like I'm not going.
My seat now, girl.
It's like, I'm not going anywhere. I have no intentions. I just want to be here and I want to build. So however long it takes, and I was like, ish,
Yeah.
damn, I hate that she's right. You know what I mean?
And eventually you came around.
Absolutely. And I'm happy to share the story. It was when I was on set. So when you're an actress, again saying, you know, but no, you're in and out today. By 3:00, you'll be done. So I was like, yeah, I'll go fetch Ruri. And obviously, you know, shooting on set, working against the elements, and now I'm just like, I will fetch my child. So now here I am. Now I've got to like suck it up now and take a deep breath and like, now I have to swallow my pride and go, hi, Nandi. I know I said that we're done by 3:00 and, you know, we're still doing this and we're not done and we only have the location. Before I could finish my sentence, she was like, all right, Thuli, I'll fetch him. Okay. By the time I'd fetched to Ruri, she had bathed him. I'm gezide, nugi vaseline, I'm gogisa my pajama, ehlisapa, and your homework.
Sure. And your heart opened up.
Drops mic.
Yo.
So I had to reassess myself and check myself, you know. So look at that, you know.
But I'm the one standing in the way here.
I'm the one. She was like, it's okay, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like judging myself, thinking, oh, I've dropped the ball once again. You said you would fetch the child at this time. And she was just always ready and willing to assist.
Wow. What a phenomenal woman. Mm-hmm. Sure, Daddy's lucky to have these two sister wives here
say
parenting.
That again. Yeah, he damn sure lucky.
Yeah. Yo. Thuli, I'm so appreciative of the time that
Is our time done?
It is.
Aww.
I know, I'm also sad. I look forward. I'm pretty sure we'll engage again in the future. But I mean, I just want to know before we let you go, just want to know what is Thuli up to at this point in time? What can we look forward to? I know that you do many different things. There's a word on your Instagram,
Multi-hyphenate.
That word, I was like, hey, the
Because-
English is not Englishing.
Hey, my darling, because I mean, there are not enough characters to fit everything. I get it. You can't say voice artist, actress, strategist. So I was just like, you know what? I'm a multi-hyphenated creative, meaning I am an actress, I'm a voice artist. I also teach. I also sometimes serve as a brand strategist where I'm helping clients reach their goals in terms of social media or business development. And then I also did some events. So I haven't been working on anything, I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
But what the next thing that I'm really focusing on is this teaching and healing journey. And it feels like when I say they, it's my God, my guys, my ancestors, that's where they want me for now, in the sense that I'm auditioning.
Yeah.
And I am not getting the roles. And I don't think it's because I'm not capable. It's because maybe this is not the time yet. And again, I haven't lived enough to play a particular character. And I used to take it so personal in my 20s. And it was not about the capability. It's about the life experience. And have you lived enough to play the role? Because I believe that we don't choose our characters. Our characters choose us.
Yeah.
You see.
Sure.
So that I'm waiting. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's as authentic as it is. I'm waiting in his purpose.
I love that authenticity and you sharing that, because oftentimes people look up to people like yourself in your industry to say, I guess everything is always in order.
And the pressure,
Yay.
always like, guys, watch the space. Oh, I'm in the pipeline.
Next up
I'm
is-
sorry, I don't have any pipeline over management, but
That you're aware of, at least.
yes.
That you're aware of. Because I always
Yes.
believe there's a lot happening. You spoke about God and your guys and ancestors. So whatever it is that has been crafted for you, and it's just a matter of time before it gets revealed. I look forward to what that looks like.
Yes.
In the meantime, I'm going to continue enjoying the content that you're sharing with us.
Thank you.
And what a beautiful soul. As I saw you come in
you.
earlier, I couldn't not look at you for a moment as I was recording my previous episode. And I was like, it's really happening. So thank you for taking the time. Thank you for honoring the invitation to come and chat to me on the Royal Corner to catch up, because I do think through sharing these stories, I was so happy to know that you're also a storyteller, because I believe it's through our stories that we impact lives.
Yes.
And encourage people to live in purpose, to demonstrate their passion and actually excel at what they do, as well as to overcome. And I think you've really encapsulated through our conversation those 4 pillars that the Royal Corner is founded on.
Oh.
And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what life has in store for you. May you be blessed ever so abundantly.
Receive.
And Ruri, I'm excited to also see what his journey looks like as he grows. In Australia, he's 16. Like, that's so mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing. I'm very, very blessed and grateful.
Yeah, you've done well, Mama.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. And may you continue to grow. And may you also teach and heal through this platform.
Ooh.
And I'm hoping there'll be more chairs one day.
Oh,
Like View, I hope like the View, my Red Table Talk. You need to have like a lot of opinions. Like maybe like a Royal Corner Women's Day edition, Royal Corner Mother's Day edition, to have these different voices and opinions.
girl.
Because we have a lot to say.
Girl. You are just tapping, you're speaking to my heart.
Yeah.
That's part of the vision. And I actually, I'm going to be looking up to you also for just support and guidance, because I know you're really great at what you do through the Thorough Group.
Yes. Oh my God, you remember.
I remember. So I would love to, as the Royal Corner also grows, see how you and I can collaborate to bring some of those things into fruition. You spoke about a Women's Day, I want twat, and I've been thinking
please
about
do
that. So
and also you also hold me accountable. I feel like I'm being led into the same space. I've just always been afraid because I didn't want to compete. Linda Darur, if you know what I mean.
I get it.
Like, I'm an actress, do my thing. He's on radio. Oh, now you want to do this. But I'm like, 2 different characters, energies. And he's someone I could look up to, actually.
Yes.
But I've been touch and go because I wanted to just not respect that space, but just didn't want to dabble, if you know what I mean. But now I realize that's a self-limiting belief. And there's room for everyone.
a lot of room, hey?
For everyone. So yes, I'd also like for you to hold my hand, and I'd be more than willing to hold your hand. And you need brands, girl. Royal Corner, sponsor.
Yes.
You know, whatever.
Yeah.
For that month, and come up with your themes. But we're giving strategy away now.
Yeah, no. We'll talk behind the scenes and bring it to life. They will see the evolution.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Aww.
Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us for today's episode of The Royal Corner. I thoroughly enjoyed my conversation with Thuli Thabethe. What a talented woman who has demonstrated what it is to live in purpose and to live with passion, as well as to excel at what she does and overcoming some of the challenges that she's endured. I hope you too have enjoyed the conversation. Please continue to like and subscribe, as well as to share the link with your loved ones. It's The Royal Corner on YouTube, as well as on Spotify. Ciao, ciao.